You're the son of 1,000 fathers, all bastards like you.
Wanted in 15 counties of this state.
You thought I'd trust you?
You think you know the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've memorized the squints, the stares, the dust swirling like ghosts around grave markers. You've heard Morricone's war cries masquerading as music. You've quoted Tuco's sermon on good and evil, and maybe, just maybe, you believe Clint Eastwood never blinked once the entire runtime. But here's something nobody tells you. The showdown, the one everyone worships as cinema's holy trinity of tension, almost didn't happen. Not because of budgets or egos, though those were big enough to derail a freight train, but because of something cosmic, something heavenly, something stupid. They were going to shoot it under a solar eclipse. And that, my friend, is just fact number one. Because behind the ponchos, beneath the Ennio whales, buried in Spanish soil pretending to be the American West, there's a goldmine of weird, twisted, ironic truth. From exploding bridges that weren't supposed to explode, to casting decisions made by fate and dental work, this is a film where chaos didn't just knock on the door, it blew it off its hinges. So sit down, squint hard, and let's ride into the desert where filmmaking gets wild. 20 weird facts about the good, the bad, and the ugly one. Tuco's grin almost got him fired before Eli Wallach became Tuco, the raspy clown prince of gunfights. His smile nearly wrecked everything. When Wallach arrived in Rome to meet Sergio Leone, he was wearing a brand new set of dentures, the kind actors get to keep their close-ups handsome. But on set, those teeth betrayed him. Every time Wallach grinned or snarled, which was often, his dentures slipped slightly, adding a weird twitch to his face. Leone wasn't amused. He'd been gambling on an American stage actor to carry 1/3 of his dusty opera. And here was this guy, grinning like a broken marionette. But then, the magic happened. Instead of correcting it, Leone leaned into it. He reframed Tuco as unpredictable, slippery, a man whose emotions don't sit right, even on his face. That unstable grin? It became part of Tuco's character, a visual lie for a man built on them. What could have been a disaster became a signature. That unsettling smirk, the one that looks like it's hiding something rotten, made Tuco unforgettable. Sometimes genius looks like an accident with good editing, and sometimes it's just a set of cheap dentures refusing to behave. 2. Ennio Morricone wrote the score before the script was finished. Most movies score their music after the film is shot, but not Leone, and definitely not Morricone. For the good, the bad, and the ugly, Ennio Morricone wrote large chunks of the score before cameras even rolled. Leone gave him vague character descriptions: the bastard, the coyote, the corpse who blinks, and Morricone turned them into sonic mythology. The now iconic main theme, that coyote howl, it wasn't just catchy, it was written to define the characters. Leone played it on set during filming, blasting it through loudspeakers to influence the pacing and tone of the actors. Yes, Clint Eastwood stared into the sun with Morricone ringing in his ears. It worked. The music wasn't background, it was backbone. It created rhythm in scenes without dialogue. It made a graveyard duel feel like a ballet performed by ghosts with itchy trigger fingers. In the end, Morricone didn't just compose a soundtrack, he wrote dialogue for silence, an opera of stares, smirks, and rising tension. And if you've ever caught yourself humming it in a tense elevator, blame the maestro. The graveyard scene almost got ruined by a solar eclipse. The final shootout is legendary. 3 men, 1 grave, infinite tension, but it almost got derailed by the universe. The crew was set to film the climax in Sad Hill Cemetery, built by Spanish soldiers in their downtime. Timing was tight, light was everything, but nobody checked the sky calendar, and on shoot day, a partial solar eclipse showed up like an unwanted extra. Suddenly, the sunlight dimmed. Shadows behaved wrong. The golden hour magic Leone obsessed over was swallowed by eerie twilight. Panic spread. Reshoots weren't an option. Budget and schedule were maxed out. Leone had one chance to get it right, so they waited. 3 hours passed. Van Cleef napped. Eastwood brooded. Wallach wandered the fake graves. Finally, light returned, and Leone rolled camera. What you see in that showdown, those stark shadows, that raw tension, isn't just choreography. It's luck held together by nerves and nicotine. Had the eclipse lasted longer, cinema's most iconic standoff might have been a footnote in a production diary. Instead, it became myth. 4. The cemetery was built by the Spanish army. Sad Hill Cemetery didn't exist, not until Sergio Leone decided he needed a graveyard big enough to make death look poetic. Problem: the remote Spanish location didn't have one. Solution: ask the military. Franco's army, yes, that Franco, was assisting the film under the guise of cultural diplomacy. Leone convinced them to build a cemetery as a training exercise. Over 200 soldiers dug, arranged, and landscaped Sad Hill, crafting 5,000 fake graves in concentric circles. It was cinematic madness. Government issued grave digging for art. The soldiers even got into it, carving names on headstones, some as jokes. One grave reportedly reads, "Unknown bank clerk." Another, "I'm here because of Leone." That wasn't in the script. It was real-life gallows humor. When filming wrapped, the cemetery was abandoned. It vanished under weeds, becoming a ghost of a ghost town, until fans tracked it down and restored it in the 2010s. Now, Sad Hill exists again, rebuilt by love, not orders, a fake cemetery resurrected by real passion. And it all started because one director wanted death to look epic and found the military strangely willing to help. 5. Tuco was nearly blinded for real. During the scene where Tuco, Wallach, cuts a rope with a runaway train barreling past, the danger wasn't just cinematic, it was real. Leone insisted on authenticity. So when Tuco's hands are bound and he's inches from the tracks, there were no stunt doubles. The train was actually moving. The dynamite explosion was actually rigged, and no one told Wallach where the debris would land. When the scene was filmed, a piece of shrapnel shot past his face. He later said that if he'd stood even slightly taller, it would have blinded him. Or worse, there was no plexiglass, no safety barrier, just dumb luck and prayer. Wallach kept his cool, didn't break character, didn't sue. He was Tuco. Afterward, he told Leone he'd like a bit more warning next time. Leone just laughed. "You look better when you're scared." And that fear, you can feel it in the take. Sometimes what you see isn't acting, it's survival. 6. Clint Eastwood almost quit the trilogy over money. By the time The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly rolled around, Eastwood was tired. He'd played the man with no name twice already. He liked the paycheck, sure, but he didn't love being overshadowed by increasingly flamboyant co-stars and a director who spoke in metaphors. Then he saw the script. Tuco had all the best lines. Angel Eyes had all the twisted menace. Blondie, still the silent guy in a poncho. So Eastwood threatened to walk. It wasn't just ego, it was business. He wanted more money. Leone caved, sort of. United Artists bumped Eastwood's fee to $250,000 plus 10% of US profits. That deal changed everything. Suddenly, Eastwood wasn't just acting, he had skin in the game. Ironically, that passive, squinting stare. It was partly about maintaining cool and partly about doing math in his head. Would this shot make him another 50 grand? Possibly. By the end, Eastwood had earned a fortune and a brand. The poncho, the cigar, the silence. It became legend. But the real cowboy move? Negotiating like a gunslinger before ever drawing a pistol. 7. Leone didn't speak English and directed Huame. Sergio Leone spoke maybe 5 words of English, yet he directed an international cast, including Eastwood and Van Cleef, without blinking. How? He directed with passion, pantomime, and cigarettes. Leone would act out scenes himself, growling like Tuco, squinting like Blondie, physically miming explosions. He'd grab actors, position their hands, point at their faces, and shout, "Dolce," sweet, or "Cattivo," bad. The crew eventually developed a strange fluency in Leonisms. They didn't need exact words, just his tone, his eyes. Wallach later said it was like being directed by a silent film star possessed by opera. Sometimes the language barrier caused friction. Eastwood grew frustrated. Van Cleef asked for translations. But they all admitted nobody else could have wrung that kind of tension from so little dialogue. Leone didn't need to explain what cinematic meant. He showed you, and somehow, through all the language chaos, the story of greed, betrayal, and standoff survival came through crystal clear. Cinema, after all, isn't built on grammar, it's built on guts. 8. The exploding bridge was too real and destroyed. Early one of the film's biggest set pieces, the exploding bridge over a Civil War river, blew up at the wrong time, literally. The Spanish army, again acting as military advisors and crew, rigged the bridge with explosives. Leone and his crew had everything lined up, cameras, actors, perfect light. But before anyone called action, someone pushed the button. Boom. The bridge blew sky high. The cameras weren't rolling. Leone reportedly screamed so loudly it echoed across the valley. Eastwood and Wallach stood in stunned silence. It was a massive setback. The scene was crucial, expensive, and emotionally loaded. Rather than rage endlessly, Leone did what only Leone could do. he rebuilt the entire bridge from scratch in under a week with the same army soldiers who had accidentally destroyed it. When they finally reshot it, this time with cameras rolling, it was even better. The tension was real. Everyone knew this was the second try. They only had one more shot. The explosion you see in the movie, that's not just spectacle. It's frustration, redemption, and revenge, all in one fiery burst. And it almost didn't happen. 9. Angel Eyes wasn't the original bad. Lee Van Cleef's icy stare as Angel Eyes defined the bad in the title, but he wasn't Leone's first pick. Originally, Leone offered the role to Charles Bronson, the same Bronson who'd later star in Once Upon a Time in the West. But Bronson turned it down, citing scheduling conflicts, or more bluntly, better offers. Van Cleef had already played Colonel Mortimer in For a Few Dollars More, a character so slick he made Eastwood look like a nervous schoolboy. But for the good, the bad, and the ugly, Leone needed someone darker. He wanted menace without theatrics, death with a human face. Van Cleef nailed it. He didn't play Angel Eyes as a villain, he played him as a professional. No swagger, no speeches, just tasks. Complete the job. Kill if necessary. Smile only if it helps. It's what made him terrifying. That blank calm, that businesslike approach to evil. It was worse than malice. It was order. And so, Van Cleef's second round in the Leone-verse made him immortal. The bad wasn't born in rage. He was built in silence. 10. The poncho was never washed. Across the trilogy, the man with no name only owns one poncho, and it shows. That ratty green-brown garment Eastwood wears, it's the same one from all 3 films in the Dollars trilogy. Never replaced, never cleaned, never even stitched. It got more threadbare with every film, like a canvas relic eroding in real time. By the time they filmed The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the poncho had a distinct odor. Cast members joked about it on set, but Eastwood refused to swap it out. He claimed it was part of the character. The coat tells its own story, he reportedly said. And he was right. That poncho isn't just wardrobe, it's armor, a shroud, a curse he carries across deserts and duels. It's the only continuity in a trilogy that plays fast and loose with timelines and names. Eastwood's man isn't the same character in all 3 films, technically, but the poncho argues otherwise. It threads them together like fate woven into fabric. You can smell it just by looking at it. Hit the like button if you like the video, and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see our new uploads. Comment if you want to see a part 2 of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.